Hello and welcome in this session on TOGAF 9 Enterprise Architect Certification. As part of this session, we will see what TOGAF 9 certification is, who should do this certification, and how. So let's get into the discussion. So what this presentation is about, let me make it a little bit clear so that everybody is on one page here. This presentation is about sharing information about TOGAF 9 certification and how to approach and prepare for this certification. However, this presentation is not about detailed training session or any training material on TOGAF 9 standard and framework. There are ample material available in the market for detailed training on TOGAF 9 standards. Okay, so let's see briefly what TOGAF 9.2 is. So TOGAF Standard is a standard from the OpenGroup, which is a proven enterprise architecture methodology. It is also an enterprise architecture framework. It is used by world's leading organizations to improve business efficiency. Over the period, OpenGroup TOGAF certification program has enabled more than 110,000 enterprise architects and trainers around the globe. Almost more than 130 countries have these enterprise architects which are certified, and they demonstrate their proven knowledge of the framework through this certification. So at a high level, this standard is divided into 6 parts. The part 1 is the introduction, which gives the introduction to the key concepts of this standard and framework. And the part 2 refers to the architecture development method, is a step-by-step approach for developing enterprise architectures. And part 3 talks about the ADM guidelines and techniques. Actually, these are the collection of guidelines and techniques that we can use while applying TOGAF Standard and TOGAF ADM into the enterprises. Some additional guidelines and techniques are also available as part of the TOGAF library, which is available online from OpenGroup. Part 4 is the architecture content framework, and this part specifically describe a structured meta model for the artifact those are going to be produced as part of this standard and framework. It also demonstrates how to use the reusable architecture building blocks, and typical architecture deliverables also been described here. Part 5 is the enterprise continuum and tools, and mainly there are some set of taxonomies and tools to categorize and store the outputs of the architecture activity within an enterprise while we use ADM and this standard. Part 6 is the architecture capability framework, and this talks about the organization, the processes, and the skills and roles and responsibilities those are required to establish and operate architectural practice within an enterprise. So this, if you see, all of these 6 parts cover everything, right from a step-by-step methodology until the capability framework to establish practices within an enterprise. Now coming to the main topic for which this session is, and that is the TOGAF certification. Now, why TOGAF certification? First of all, this certification is a trusted, vendor-neutral, globally recognized credential that is available now about enterprise architecture. And it's also used by the world's leading enterprises to certify a common body of core knowledge about the methodology and framework, and it demonstrates to the employers and the peers about your commitment to enterprise architecture as a discipline. Also, in addition to this, needless to say, it's an outstanding career move, and it's the foundation certificate in the career of enterprise architect. This is kind of a pillar. So what are the levels of the TOGAF certifications? So TOGAF, there is a level 1, it's called foundation, and this particular certification of level 1 ensures that the individual understands the enterprise architecture along with its concepts and the terminology. Those are defined by TOGAF. However, there is another level, the next level of certification of TOGAF, and that is level 2 certified. And in addition to knowing the foundation and clearing this qualification of level 1 foundation, this certification establishes the candidate is able to analyze and apply this knowledge for the real business problems. So one does not need to first do foundation and then do certified level 1 and level 2, but one can also give a combined exam, level 1 and level 2 certification together as one exam. And if somebody is not comfortable, level 1 foundation can be done, and after some time passes we can do the level 2 certification. And once this TOGAF certified status will give you the automatic free membership to the Association of Enterprise Architects. So the same point has been depicted here as part of this diagram. So if you see, if you want to go stepwise, then part 1 exam, what is called level 1, is also called sometimes section 1 part 1, and that foundation, and after some time you can give part 2 exam. Otherwise, if you don't want to go stepwise, then you can do a combined exam in one go on one single day, and we can directly become TOGAF certified. Now let's get to see some more about this TOGAF certified exam. So while you go for registration, you need to know this exam is called TOGAF 9 combined part 1 and part 2. What qualification you get if you do both the exams together? It's TOGAF 9 certified. This has 2 sections. One is part 1, we talked about the foundation part of it. It is a closed book. You need to know the terminologies, the methods and entire standards in order to answer. However, the part 2 is an open book exam, and an electronic copy of the specification is built into the exam. You can, during the exam, you can clearly see the copy of the standards available to you, because you anyway have to utilize this knowledge on the real scenarios which are asked as part of the part 2. So section 1, which is part 1, is 40 simple multiple choice question, and the section 2 are only 8 scenario based question, and they are pretty complex multiple choice question. However, as I said, there are long scenario based question, as in sometimes the text for the scenario goes into a full page or even more than a page that you may need to read, comprehend, and then answer the questions which are scenario based questions on that. And hence the number of questions, the 40 of section 1 and 8 of section 2, the total 48 questions, and those are there. So what is the pass score then in that case? So pass mark for part 1 is 55%, which means 22 out of the 40 should be successfully. And then part 2, the pass mark is 60%, which means we need to get 24 points out of the 40 points. So those 8 questions have 40 points, by the way. So however, part 2 has a different methodology of counting the points. The correct answer, if we give, it scores 5 points, and that's why 8 question all correct will be 40 points. However, there is always one correct answer, one second best and one third best answer, and the fourth is completely wrong. So this second best answer will get you 3 points, the third best will get you 1 point, and the distractor, what they call it, will get you the 0 point. So you need to note that you need to pass both the parts of the exam to achieve overall success, and if you fail either part, you fail the certified exam. However, you only need to retake the exam corresponding to the failed section. So how much time do we get for together 2 exams? So 150 minute is what you get, and this is equal to 2.5 hours. Then each section, so 60 minutes is part 1, and 90 minutes is part 2. So 60-minute part 1 will stop automatically and it will enter into part 2. If most of the time we generally finish earlier than 60 minutes, and I suggest that if you finish earlier than 60 minutes you should immediately end up into start the part 2, so don't take a pause. Once you complete the section you cannot return back. So once part 1 is done and you enter into part 2, there is no way you can come back to part 1 again, and there are no breaks between sections. So what are the exam fees? So if we do the part 1, you have to pay $360. Part 2, if you have to do separately, you have to pay $360. However, if we do both combined, part 1 and part 2 in one go, you need to pay only $550. So there is some savings there. And more than the saving on the money, I think it's a lot of time that you save, because when you read and study, understand for part 1 the entire standard and the framework, that anyway will be used for the part 2 scenarios, and you don't have to again redo it. So that's why it's better to go for the combined. You need to make the appointments in advance or even day of the test, depending upon what availability we have, and you need to log into OpenGroup account, create your own account and register for the exam. One particular thing about this is because, as I said, part 2 has long text-based scenarios, and sometimes those people who don't have English as their first language may find it difficult. So you can get an exemption to get additional time, but you need to request for it at the time of registering for the exam. But you can get an additional time if English is not your first language. You also get what they call it accommodations, if, and not about this ESL, English as a first language, but if there is a disability and you require some specific accommodations, a time extension or reader or recorder for you, you will need to again get a prior approval from OpenGroup before you approach the Pearson VU for doing your booking. So that needs to be remembered here. So how do you get your certificates? You get your certificate after 6 working days after you pass your exam. It will be sent to you through email, and an OpenGroup will be invited, and they will invite you to log in and complete your certification. You can also download and print your certificate, and you can adjust your register entity to make it public. At the time you will be asked whether you want to keep the certificate public or private. You also will be invited to opt into the OpenGroup badging program to receive a digital credential. Nowadays also this is pretty helpful to use on your LinkedIn or any other profile or resume. So OpenGroup also maintains the directory of the certified people on their site. So you see, for example, here the TOGAF 9 Foundation showing 33,000 certified, 77, some 110,000 plus people are certified to date. And you can, if you even go here on this site, you can open the site and go through. Your name will also appear there if you search for it, if you are certified. Now, who should do TOGAF certification? So many times I get this question from people that and professionals that maybe it is not for me because I am a program manager, or I'm a project manager, or I am a legal expert. So do I have anything in this enterprise architecture? However, TOGAF has also, we talked about the capability framework, so TOGAF has also gone ahead and clearly given the view about the skill requirement for TOGAF teams. So mainly there are generic skills, especially leadership, team working, interpersonal skills. Those are needed on enterprise architecture project using TOGAF. Also, we need to have business skills and methods, mainly to define business cases, business processes, and strategic planning for business. One also needs to have the enterprise architecture skills, mainly modeling, the building block design, the application and role design, system integration, etc. Also, as I said, the program and project management skills, again very important, especially for managing the business change and using the project management methods and tools while we deliver this. Also, the IT general knowledge skills will be useful, especially the asset management, migration planning and SLS, because large landscape of enterprise architectures are migrated from current to the to-be states. Also, one of course must have technical IT skills about the software engineering, the security, the data interchange, the data management, etc., and also the legal environment, typically data protection laws, the contractual law, the procurement laws, fraud, etc. And that's why from this previous skill set, the reason that I showed this skill set here is that this should answer a few people's question about who should get into TOGAF certification. So if you fit into any one of these, I think there is a justification to go for TOGAF certification and get these skills acquired. So once now we know until here, so how to study for TOGAF certification. So this particular matrix is available on OpenGroup website. So they had clearly talked about what about the learning and training, what is actually the exam, where to register for it, and some more resources about the exam. So mainly so there are set of accredited training courses, virtual and also physical, available. However, I would suggest that I think the self-study resource, and that's why I made this green, the self-study resources are most of the time enough if you focus on your own self-study and prepare for the exam in detail with doing some practice exams. This is good enough, and you can even fast track and avoid some kind of detailed training. As part of self-study, we will see in the next set of slides, but TOGAF has created self-study pack, and as part of that self-study pack, the standards, the guidelines are available for foundation level 1, for the certified level 2. There are some sample examination, sample tests, what you call it, are also available. So we will talk about it. The exam summary, all of these are clickable links that you can go onto the OpenGroup website and check for it, especially the advice sheet for candidate to take the Pearson VUE exam. Now these are the accredited examination center. By the way, the exam can be taken at examination center, or it can be taken from home also. So that's also a good news available there. So this, I just talked about the self-study pack. So this is on the TOGAF OpenGroup shop. If you search for the certification self-study pack, you will get this for $59.90, and you will see as part of this pack mainly all of these set of documents, those are given by TOGAF, and these are all soft copy. You can get that immediately after you pay, and especially they have white papers as part of study guide. They have, see this, they are foundation 9 study guide, they have certified study guide, and they have a pocket guide also. So here we can refer to it. So there are some slides, there are reference cards also, so that you can use them at the last minute or last weeks. There are some practice tests on both level 1 and level 2. You have a pocket guide for easy reference, the Pearson VUE related information, and some information sheets also. So this is pretty useful if you go for this certification self-study pack. This is more than enough to prepare for this exam. You don't need anything else. So let's go into that, what to study. So if you get into this self-study pack, so first part is the study guide. So you have to go through both of the study guides. One is foundation, one is certified study guide, that's level 1 and level 2. Also the pocket guide could be the step 2. Once you are gone through and understood clearly from the study guide the entire standard, its framework, its methodologies, tools, techniques, guidelines, everything, then you can use the pocket guide also. You can use the reference card also, and mainly why I mentioned it here as a highlight is because it can be used in last couple of weeks prior to the exam to revise things. So it has some overview of the framework with diagrams, and it has also phase wise, especially this TOGAF area phase wise. inputs, outputs, and steps, so that, and the objectives of that particular phase. So you need to be clearly knowing what is the objective of a given phase, what are its inputs and what are the outputs, and so on. And also, most important is that practice exam. You need to do those practice exams, and those are, as I said, those are available with this pack. You can get it once you pay for it, and that you can use. But additionally, just want to share, I was a little bit impressed with this particular practice test. This site, you can note, this site is a minimal fee for it, $10-15, but they have almost like 60 to 80 exams, small exams. They may not be the questions that directly come into the final exam, but it helps to build the understanding of the standard and the framework, the TOGAF 9 standard, because the question answer way of studying is much better than you continuously reading it for days and weeks. So I found this a lot of help, these test questions. So that site you can go on to and just see for yourself. If you like, maybe then you can go for it. So just to touch upon some challenges in the overall certification. First of all, lot of text material to read and understand and remember. As I said, foundation has its self-study guide, then certified level 2 has its own. So how to circumvent this? So you use reference cards. The supplier guides are also given along with those study packs. So you go through those supplier guides because they have little bit more understanding of how things are implemented rather than only theoretical. So you might gain some interest into how things are done. Also, you utilize the practice test. I just talked about the previous slide, practice test. So question and answer is a better way of studying it. You can go back to the guideline document if you don't understand the question or don't understand how to give the answer for it. So you can go back to the document and that help you remember better. You can also watch YouTube videos. There are a lot of YouTube videos about standard and guidelines available. The level 1 and 2 together exam sounds overwhelming. So many people think that, oh, I'm new to this and how can both exam be done together? Maybe I go for level 1 first, see myself. But my suggestion is not to go one after the other, because you will have to study all over it again. So it's better appear for combined exam, and take it from me, it's not difficult to go together. Rather, it is easier and more effective use of your time. Level 3 exam has long scenarios. It's level 2 rather, it's not level 2. Long scenario based questions, so difficult to comprehend and remember context. So mainly during the exam you can create simple graphical figures also to contextualize the problem statement. Otherwise the scenarios go so long that you might even forget who is what being talked about in the problem statement and what exactly is the problem being talked about. So maybe you can have some kind of graphical figures to put the context on the paper, and then you can analyze and try to answer. So exam duration is long and combined exam is longer to stretch in one go. So generally level 1 is completed earlier. So if you finish level 1 earlier, you should enter into level 2 immediately, so that you get good amount of time for level 2, because those questions need to be read thoroughly. As I said, long text-based questions, and they need time. A single question, reading that question needs good amount of time, and understanding it, putting the context together, need a lot of time. So answering is really a second part. So understanding the question itself is a challenge in level 2, and that's why better you give some more time for level 2 and try to maximize your usage of time there. And finally, many have asked these questions: how long should I study before I appear for combined part 1 and part 2 exam? And this is purely my view, but if you study 2 hours daily, so between 2 to 3 months is, in my view, very sufficient for the preparation. I've done this almost around 2.5 months, so I think you can, why not? So I think 2 to 3 months is max. More than that, going for it also, it's overkill. So this is my view about it. and this is all about it. I hope this is useful to you. If you are going for this TOGAF certification, then these set of pointers, how to prepare, what material to go through, may help you. So thank you very much listening in, and all the best wishes. Thanks. Bye.